Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. It's an honor itself to honor these splendid participants who has joined here and watching this event through TRAI YouTube channel. I, Nilay Datta, on behalf of Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, cordially welcome you in today's webinar on use of street furniture for 5G deployment. Thank you all for giving your prize time. Ladies and gentlemen, since last 2 years, the world witnesses a heavy rise in the smartphone penetration. There's a paradigm shift in everyday's life, creating a new ambience like study from home, work from home, webinar, and many more things. This changed situation or scenario validates that a ubiquitous stable telecom network with high-speed data is the prime requirement for economic and social development. In this scenario, 5G technology with its ultra reliability, low latency, and ultra high speed will play a pivotal role for next generation technologies such as augmented reality, artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual reality, and many more. The motto of this webinar is to discuss the use of street furniture like light posts, traffic signal, billboards, and other public structures for deployment of small cells in 5G network, which will operate on minimal power and cover short distances of 10 meters to a couple of kilometers. In today's webinar, after this inaugural session, we have 4 speaker sessions of 30 minutes each with our distinguished speakers from the field of academia, industry, and regulator, followed by a panel discussion on use of street furniture for 5G deployment and the role of various stakeholders. Now, I would like to request Dr. S.K. Samanta, our advisor, TRAI Regional Office, Kolkata, to deliver the welcome address. Dr. Samanta, an outstanding achiever in the field of telecommunication in India, is a 1992 batch ITS officer, Indian Telecommunication Service Officer in Department of Telecom, and served in BSNL, BBNL, etc., with expertise in different telecom technologies like ISDN, IP, GSM, 3G, 4G, broadband, FTTH, etc. He was a recipient of UK IERI PhD scholarship in 2006 and completed his MSc and PhD from University of Essex in the UK. He passed Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Telecommunications from BE College, Shibpur, Kolkata, and stood fast in order of merit. So over the session to Dr. Samanta.
Thank you, Datta, and good morning and welcome to everyone. We are very sorry and apologetic that because of there are some limitations in our platform. So a lot of officers, including students, government departments, they just reported that they could not join. So TRI has created another one parallel channel through YouTube. I am also seeing it. It is very nicely visible. So I welcome all those who are available through this Airmeet platform, as well as those who have joined through the YouTube channels. This is a great opportunity for me and privilege and honor to welcome this type of very important sessions. I should not say that it is a pioneering type of seminar, but it is a very important sessions because as on date, if we see the people are accessing internet through mobile only, and in terms of 3G, 4G, there is a capacity limitation, there is a technology limitation, there is a speed limitation. So 5G will be definitely giving a boost so far as both connectivity as well as speed is concerned. And if we have to use 5G, we have to go for a higher spectrum range. Like say 4G is normally working in 900 megahertz or 1800 megahertz or 2300 megahertz, but 5G will be say around 3.3 to 3.8. This is the main band. So once the frequency is more, the capacity will be more, bandwidth speed will be more, but the coverage will be less. So enough number of towers will be required. And it is not commercially viable, physically possible, and in a big urban cities like Kolkata, Ranchi, Patna, it will be difficult. So all over the world, the concept is going on how to use street furnitures like light poles, billboards, bus stands for expediently deploying this particular technology, which will be definitely giving a tremendous boost to economy, education, health, and all other sectors. So, in this specific seminar, I would like to welcome our principal advisor, TRI headquarter, Sri Rajiv Sinha sir. He is an ITS officer. He will be delivering a keynote address. I also would like to welcome our respected Secretary, IT and Electronics Government of West Bengal, Sri Randhir Kumar sir. He is an IS officer. He was very busy. He was not available here, but he was so keen, so he joined. I am really thankful, sir. And sir, we met our Kolkata Municipal Corporation's commissioner and DG Lighting, and few officers. They were very much eager to join, but they could not join. I requested them to join through YouTube channel. I hope they have joined. So I like to welcome all of them. And sir, we have our director, Department of Telecom, Kaushik Mukherjee. He is an ITS officer. He is looking after Andaman, Sikkim, and West Bengal. Sir, we have representatives from Government of IT, Department of IT, Government of Bihar. We have representative from Department of IT, Government of Jharkhand, as well as Department of IT, Andaman Nicobar Indian Territory. I welcome all of you, sir. And we have distinguished speakers. Dr. Datta from IIT Kharagpur, he is, I should say, the one of the best knowledgeable person I have ever seen, especially in the Eastern Zone. And we have Dr. Pritam Kumar, he is a professor from IIT Patna. He was also involved in the Smart City project. So they will be delivering something which will be related to bit technical. And we have Sri Sanjeev Kohli. He is basically a very expert person having good exposure in India and abroad. He is from Messrs. Nokia. And you all know that Nokia is now, earlier it was a world leader so far as mobile is concerned. Now also they are leader so far as equipment gears are concerned. And we have one Mr. Mittal, Ashish Mittal. He is from ATC. Basically, it is an infrastructure provider company, American Tower Corporation. American Tower Company, and they basically provide the actual towers. So they don't provide the equipment. So equipment is being supplied by the Nokia, Ericsson, and infrastructure like in terms of towers are provided by ATC Indus. And equipments are actually being deployed or commercially used by TSPs like Airtel, Vodafone, BSNL, Jio like this. So we called all of them, requested all of them to just give a little bit idea about what are the issues and challenges for deployment of, I should say, small cells through light poles, which will be easy for deployment of 5G. So with this, I will request and I will rather welcome all of the participants, government officers who are attending through this specific platform, WireMeet platform, as well as YouTube channel. Thank you. Datta, you carry on. Datta, your voice is not coming. Datta, your voice is not coming.
Beg your pardon, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for delivering a brief and pleasant welcome address. Now I would like to request Sri Kaushik Mukherjee, Director Rural, Department of Telecom, West Bengal LSA, to deliver an inaugural speech. Mr. Mukherjee is a 1992 batch ITS officer, served in various positions in BSNL, including Principal RTTC Kolani, RTTC Rajpura, in business development and Calcutta Telephones, as well as he has served in Bharat Barbad Network Limited also. He is of having a very vast experience. So, and I would like to welcome Sri Mukherjee over the session to Sri Kaushik Mukherjee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dato. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, on behalf of DOT West Bengal unit, I would like to express my gratitude for inviting me to be a part of this wonderful webinar. I'm sure all of us will be greatly enriched by the knowledge of the renowned academicians and industry experts who will be deliberating shortly on the various associated issues. Well, as all of us know, that 5G trials are already underway, and the commercial rollout is expected sometime probably in around August or September this year. With the immense potential of very high internet speeds, ultra low latency, and massive machine-to-machine communication capabilities, 5G we feel will definitely prove to be a game changer in our society. With small cell deployment forming the backbone of the 5G rollout, the need of the hour is effective utilization of the street furniture, like, as you have already told, street lights, utility poles, traffic signals, water poles, and other building mounts, etc. For fixing of these 5G small cell hardware in a very speedy and cost-effective manner, we have to think something. The greatest impact, I think, on this is on the state ROW policy, which has to be slightly modulated and tuned so that it facilitates smooth rollout. All the stakeholders have to gear up their machineries and join hands to ensure the deployment of the 5G cells so that that happens in a very systematic and a time-bound manner. Some states, as you have already told, have already taken up this issue, like Kerala, who are planning to offer their 90 lakh plus electrical poles and 3.6 lakhs of HT and LT network for this purpose. In West Bengal also, we are having around 43,000 of towers already there, out of which about 27,000 in West Bengal, that is the rest of Bengal rather than Kolkata, and in Kolkata UA area around 16,000. So this has to be probably multiplied, having a threefold multiplication, maybe around 1.2 to 1.3 lakhs. So this is a really Herculean task, and all of us have to work together to see that this is effective. And I'm extremely confident that all these nitty-gritties will be definitely addressed in today's webinar, and particularly in the last 1 hour session, we can have some brainstorming. So thank you very much once again. I will not stand between you and the presentation any further. May I request Dr. Samantha or Mr. Nilay Dato to please take over. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your delivery. And now we feel honored to have with us Sri Randhir Kumar, IAS, or Honorable Secretary, Department of IT and Electronics, Government of West Bengal. So we welcome Sri Randhir Kumar ji over the session to Sri Randhir Kumar ji.
Good morning, friends. I'm really delighted to be amongst the dignitaries from Indian Telecom Service, TRAI, Mr. Kohli from Nokia, representative from Government of Bihar, Jharkhand, and Andaman and Nicobar administration. It's really a great privilege to be here today to listen to what are the issues which we will be facing in 5G deployment. As the earlier speaker was saying that the trials are going on and not many things are expected in future. I'm given to understand by news articles and other reading materials over internet that Government of India is keen to implement this from 15th of August, at least in 1 or 2 cities or 1 or 2 places. So, as you all are aware that 5G deployment is infrastructure heavy. The towers from 10 meters to 300 meters, maybe we need to put up the towers or whatever you say, the small cell deployment. At the time of 3G and 4G deployment, the deployment of these number of towers were not required. It was like 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, one tower used to cover. At that point in time also, we had to face a lot of problem. Means the telecom companies had to face a lot of problem in getting the land or space for installation of tower. There used to be ROW related issues, rent for those land or the space which were used for installation of tower, electricity connection at those places, maintenance of all those towers. As Mr. Datta was saying, that in West Bengal we have got some 43,000 towers. Now you see the maintenance of 43,000 towers, in future it will be around 1.5 lakh towers. So the maintenance will go fourfold, the rent will go fourfold, ROW related issues will come. So all these hurdles, we have to, in consultation with academia and in consultation with industry, we have to work it out for the smooth deployment of 5G. 5G works at very high speed. It has got very low latency. And to maintain this low latency, it needs continuous transmission service, which requires adequate power supply. So all these things have to be, quality power supply needs to be ensured. As you all are aware, the government of India is implementing BharatNet. I'm just giving a thought. I have not thought it through properly. Even the BharatNet fiber, which is being deployed at all levels, and government of India 2 years back, they have announced that they will go up to the village level. Earlier, it was up to the Gram Panchayat level. So those fibers can be utilized in this for providing the services to these towers. And then, all service provider, all the users also will have to upgrade their devices. So it needs a lot of expenditure. And from the point of view of telecom service provider, that expenditure, if from government we can minimize their investment, then it may be that 5G can be rolled out as smoothly as possible. Some time back, as my earlier speaker was saying, that I was going through a document where Kerala State Electricity Board had proposed for deployment of their around 2 lakh electric poles of Kerala State Electricity Board in entire Kerala for this 5G towers. I don't know whether the feasibility for this has been analyzed and whether the piloting on those electric towers have been done or not. Because electric tower has a height. There are two type of towers, 9 meter, 12 meters. Then there is a height restriction. You are putting a load of around, I was going through the HMD manual of Nokia. There it was around 12 kg is the weight of the antenna. Then you will be putting the battery and other things, the power backup. So all those things, whether we have done the piloting on these electric poles or not, I don't know. So, and in some of the areas in West Bengal, I have talked to Chairman SEDCL in West Bengal, and he is very forthcoming in adopting this model of Kerala, and which they have done in other countries also. They are thinking that we will also offer this our electric poles in SEDCL. But in areas like Bidhannagar, Kolkata, and Newtown, generally electric lines are going underground. And in those places, we may think of using uh, this light poles and other furniture which are available with us. And the number of towers required will be lakhs. I don't expect the telecom company will be able to pay rent or will be able to, we will have to share that. So our government in West Bengal is very open in providing as facilitating the ROW thing. We can amend our policies as per the requirement or as per your suggestion, which may come out from today's meeting or which advisories may come from TRA.
Specific question.
Still, these are early days and we are still in the process of brainstorming. And this session is one such occasion. I once again can assure you from Government of West Bengal, we will be providing all services, all facility, and we will facilitate the telecom service providers so that the implementation is smooth and fast. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for delivering some and pointed out some useful thing on this. And we are hopeful in future TRAI and along with all the state governments shall work in a collaborative manner for easy deployment of this 5G in future. Thank you, sir. We will definitely work on your advices and suggestions and whatever you have pointed out. Now, I would like to request our principal advisor, Sri Rajiv Sinhaji, principal advisor, Network Spectrum and License, TRAI, to deliver the keynote speech. Sri Rajiv Sinhaji, principal advisor in Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, is responsible for all regulatory issues related to telecommunication services sector. He is an officer of 1987 batch of Indian Telecommunication Service and has over 31 years of experience in various administrative and technical matters. related to the field of telecommunications with a specialization in transmission technologies. Earlier, he has worked in various capacities in the Department of Telecommunications and was involved in framing policies and guidelines for the new emerging technologies like machine to machine, cloud services, net neutrality, etc. He initiated the setting up of indigenous 5G testbed in India in collaboration with premier academic institutes. So over the session to Rajiv Sinhaji.
Thank you, Mr. Niladatta and Dr. Samantha, for inviting me for this webinar. Good morning to all distinguished delegates and participants of this webinar. The distinguished speakers before me, Shri Randhir Kumar and Shri Kaushik Mukherjee, they have made a very eloquent express their viewpoint on the approach, how to make use of the street furniture for 5G deployments in our country. And it is really heartening to see their positive outlook on this important aspect. And it is quite encouraging to see that the stakeholders are actively considering the issues and challenges which we are likely to see for deployment of the small cells and their positive outlook towards addressing those issues. So if we come to the theme of the webinar, as you all know, the digital communication sector nowadays plays a very important and pivotal role in the economic development and the social prosperity of our nation. And it is happening globally also. As we leapfrog into the next development, the telecom and internet connectivity is definitely going to play a very pivotal role in facilitating technological advancement and bringing people closer to each other. COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way day-to-day social and business life transacts. The expectations of the user for very high speed, high quality, reliable, ubiquitous connectivity will definitely grow further and further, more so with the availability of low-cost devices and high-definition content. Now coming to 5G, it is the services, the broadband connectivity which we are going to see through 5G deployment. It requires connectivity not for the common man, but also for the industry requirement which supports host of manufacturing processes, making use of IoT, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and many other applications. So for 5G to be successful in India, availability of a very reliable, rich, and high capacity digital infrastructure which caters not only to the needs of common masses but also for Indian businesses and enterprises will be required. The new generation production facilities, what we are thinking of, that manufacturing facilities where Industry 4.0 will play a pivotal role. They require 5G networks for high capacity requirements and low latencies. So the major applications which we see for 5G which are applicable for our Industry 4.0 are ultra high speed and ultra low latency requirements which are being delivered through the 5G technology. But for these features of 5G to make use of it, we need densification of networks by deploying small cells. This deployment of small cell is very critical. 5G networks will require a lot number of small cells to meet the requirements of both coverage and capacity in high frequency bands. Dr. Samantha has mentioned about where 5G is going to, what type of spectrum bands 5G is going to make use of. It is both in mid-band and millimeter wave also. So the deployment in mid-band and millimeter wave, where the penetration will be less it requires more number of such radio stations to be deployed. These small cells are going to supplement the existing macro cells, the BTSs, what we see, the towers everywhere. Now the availability of existing street furniture, as has been mentioned by Mr. Kaushik as well as Mr. Randir Kumar, we have got in plenty. There are millions of street lights, thousands of bus stops, hundreds of metro pillars, which can be a boon for economic and fast deployment of small cells. Now, considering the cost of involved, both complexity as well as time frames for densification of such 5G network infrastructure, it is felt that there is a need to put a mechanism for using the existing street furniture resources for large scale of small cell deployment of small cells. The street furnitures are under various public and private authorities that have administrative jurisdiction in municipal bodies, the smart city administrations, government departments, railway, airports, ports, metro, train systems, stadiums, so many are there. So granting access to street furniture by these controlling authorities at reasonable cost could remove a significant hurdle in 5G, small cell deployment in our country. Now what will these authorities will get in turn? When 5G is deployed on such infrastructure owned by these authorities, it will create a win-win situation for them, because these authorities can be benefited from the 5G use cases for smart waste disposal, smart traffic light, metering, smart grid monitoring, disaster management, and so many other streams which can add to the revenue generation of various authorities. Small cell based networks which support high speeds will necessarily require a very high capacity backhaul. Unfortunately, in our country, the penetration of fiber is not adequate, and as per estimates, hardly around 30% of sites, the main BTS sites, micro sites, are connected in India. So we need to have a proper backhaul for the deployment of 5G. So we need to have a fiber backhaul support, not only to effectively deploy the small cells, but also to connect our existing macro sites. Laying of fiber, underground laying of fiber is costly and time consuming. So there is need to find a deployment model which is both light on capex as well as opex. Many developed countries, many countries in Europe, Japan, they have rolled out aerial fibers as part of their broadband plans to have a very quick and easy installation. In India also, aerial fiber deployment on street furniture can be a viable solution for quickly removing reliable high-speed fiber backhaul to small and macro sites. The use of street furniture will definitely obviate the need for having a greenfield deployments of poles for small cells and aerial fiber, which will bring down the capital expenditure and the time involved for rolling out the networks and services. The street furniture which is available with various authorities, it has to accommodate both requirement of power, the size of antenna, the related electronics which is to be provided by various service providers, the radio stations which are small in size, but yes, they do have their weight and size considerations, the requirement of fiber and cabling equipment. So a good design, a good engineering concept is required for successful small scale deployment on existing street furniture, taking into consideration the requirement of heat dissipation also, the battery backup requirement, and also the structural integrity of the existing street furnitures, both in respect of safe loading and wind resistance capacity. So how to achieve this? We need to have a very cost effective and fast right of way permissions from concerned controlling and administrating authorities. And this step will be sort of what I would say in the hands of various such authorities. They have to come forward, they have to provide the right of way permissions in a seamless single window type of concept, and with their active involvement, I think the deployment of ROW, the deployment of small cells with easing out of ROW permissions will be a real forward-looking approach, and all state authorities, municipal authorities who are in charge of providing such permissions, they have to collaborate with our telecom service providers, the IP providers, so as to make it as in a mission mode and take forward these deployments, keeping in view that such deployments of in ICT connectivity is a win-win situation for all. We need to identify the various street furnitures, catalog them, and earmark certain infrastructures like municipal building, post offices, railway station, bus stops, where we can have dedicated spaces and allow service providers to deploy the small cell architecture. It is not that we are proposing this for deployment in our country. This has happened elsewhere also. So many countries, Japan, South Korea, they have already identified the traffic signals, the metro lines, and many other street furniture, which can be put to use by their telecom operators with minimal or no permissions. The similar approach we need to examine for our country in India. Now, coming back to what TRI is doing in this field, so as to ensure that small cell deployments are effective. And as rightly pointed out by Sri Randhir Kumar ji in his opening remarks, that the governments, the stakeholders need to carry out some sort of pilots so that we can see the issues, the challenges which are there for deployment, and come out with the policy interventions, regulatory interventions, proper guidelines, so as to ensure that the deployment are smooth and cost effective to all stakeholders. In TRI, we have identified the challenges for deployment of small cells, and we've expressed this viewpoint with various industry stakeholders. We also initiated a small consultation in May 2021, and the objective was to find out what could be the various requirements, the challenges to roll out the street furniture. We have started engaging with the telecom service provider, infrastructure providers, and other small important stakeholders, smart city administrations, regulators, and power sector also, so that we can find out ways and means to implement the small cell deployments. As an institutional approach, let me inform all of you that we are going ahead with 4 pilots. What we have identified is, we have identified a port. It's a Kandla port we have identified. We have identified an airport, Delhi airport. We have identified Bangalore metro, and a small congested city deployment also. So that we have taken Bhopal city. So we are engaging with all the stakeholders of these various authorities, their respective ministries, the service providers. We have carried out an extensive discussion with them. We have come out with our scope of work, which they will be carrying out, and TRI will be reviewing and we engage in the oversight of the entire this pilot projects. It is focused on studying the various street furniture available and how it can be effectively put to use for deployment of small cells. We are also in the process of issuing a consultation paper where we can get comments from all other stakeholders, and based on both the inputs from the consultation paper as well as the pilots which we are going to start, we will come out with framing the right policies for rollout of infrastructure for small cell. I would like to mention that we need to have a very collaborative effort. We have got in this webinar various state government representatives. We have got academia, which are going to present their technical inputs on the deployment of small cells. We have telecom service provider. We have OEMs also in this webinar. I request all of them to have a very open mindset about how to devise a mechanism for co-creation and co-sharing of infrastructure. It will be a win-win situation both for various authorities, the service providers, that they will be creating an ecosystem which will be enriching the users with their enhanced quality of experience, and also the state authorities, where with increased broadband penetration and utilization, it will add to their GSDP also. So I'm quite sure the deliberations on these aspects of enabling a framework for deployment of small cells to facilitate the uptake of 5G technology, which will be discussed by domain experts in the various sessions scheduled for the day, will be very beneficial to all of us, and we can come out. I request Dr. Samantha if we can come out with some small brief outcome of the deliberations, and it can be shared with us, which can be looked upon by TRAI for taking it further with various authorities. So with this, on behalf of TRAI, I thank you all once again for attending this webinar. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your well-delivered keynote speech. You have nicely pointed out in today's webinar related 5G features and applications, and finally set the program tune. Yes, we definitely need a win-win situation for easy deployment of 5G by creating a collaborative ambience. Thank you, sir, once again for giving your valuable time to us. So now, ladies and gentlemen, our inaugural session is now over. Please stay with us. Now we are coming back to your speaker sessions that will be started very shortly. Thank you all. Please stay with us.